Mark Elling. I'm here at Mt Bachelor's Mid-Mountain Lodge, Pine Martin Lodge. This is the home of the annual boot test. This is the America's Best Boot Fitters Ski and Outside Magazine's boot test. And this is where we generate all the boot review content that you're seeing this season on a variety of different ski and outside magazine digital platforms, as well as America's Best Boot Fitters website, bootfitters.com. We've just started the test today. We've got about 30 testers trying a variety of different boots in 5 primary categories. And I just wanted to walk you through our test center and show you a few of the boots and let you understand the different types of boots we're going to be testing over the next week. So come on in. So we can talk about kind of a traditional old school boot, or we could talk about the most transmissive boot that's going to drive a stiff carving ski on a hard snow surface at high speeds. That would be the front side category. So one of the things that differentiates the front side boot from a typical all mountain boot would be the sole. And there's no grip to this. This is a solid sole boot. It's designed to really tip the ski on edge and transmit every amount of energy from the skier through the binding to the ski. So this is all about ski performance. This might be a little bit more difficult to put on than some of the boots we're going to talk about, but once this thing's on, it's going to drive a ski harder than any of the other boots that are in this room, most likely. This one's been revised for this year. It has a little bit new shell shape, and it has a new attachment point in the back. This is the Lang RS boot. So far, been a pretty popular model. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum in weight and in terms of application and look at a backcountry boot. This is the new Quantum Free backcountry boot from Dalbello. This is the women's version. Pretty awesome looking boot. One of the things you'll notice is the heft. When you get a true backcountry boot in your hand, it's super lightweight. You hardly know it's there. Typically fewer buckles, so there's 1 and 2 at the top. This middle portion is a lot of fabric, so it's a really nice high instep fit and super huge range of motion for touring. So backcountry boots have the longest range of motion when you're in touring mode, and typically they have a permanently rockered sole that's lugged with some sort of a Vibram grip typically. So here's a good example of a backcountry boot that we'll be testing. Now everything else kind of falls in between. So when you move out of the backcountry category and you're moving a little bit more potentially to a hybrid boot that you might use on the mountain, we would call that a free ride boot. So it has a walk mode and it has tech fittings, but it's a little bit heavier and it's a little bit more geared for downhill descent performance. Let's look at one over here that's new. So this is the Atomic Hawx Magna XTD. This is a woman's version. Now, one of the things you'll notice when you first pick it up, it's a little bit heavier than a true backcountry boot, but that weight and the thickness of the plastic translates into better downhill performance. So it's going to be more stable at speed with a fat ski on area, on hard snow. It's going to handle that just fine. One of the things that's interesting about this boot is it's a Magna. Magna, if you're familiar with Atomic's line, means wide. So this is a wide freeride boot, and there aren't many of those on the market, and certainly not very many women's wide freeride boots. So people are excited about testing this boot this year. It's going to be a popular one, and it kind of rounds out the Atomic Hawx line in the XTD. That would be the freeride boots, because there's ultra narrow, a Prime, which is medium, and this new Magna is their wide freeride boot. So let's have a look here at an interesting new category for us this year. This would be an example of a boot that's entered in the all-mountain access category. So access indicates there's something about the boot that just makes it easier for people to deal with. One of the things that troubles folks often is it's hard to get on and off, right? So some people, it might be an older skier or someone post-injury or not very flexible. Some boots are just hard to get on. So the new Rossi Vision line for men and women is designed to attack that problem and make something super easy to get on. It has a pretty interesting new buckle feature. When you unbuckle the buckles, you'll notice there's another different colored buckle, and the idea with that is it's a cuff release. It opens all the way, and if you were trying to put this boot on or off, obviously the buckles are unclasped, this would hinge backward. You just pull this tab out of the way, right? And then boom, that thing tips way back, so that becomes super easy for a person to get that boot on. So far, That's been an awesome feature for anybody who has a hard time getting boots on and off. It's not a rear entry, it's still a 4-buckle overlap design, and once the boot is closed and the release lever is locked, it functions again like a 4-buckle overlap shell. So we're interested to see if this really does perform as well as build and skis as well as a boot that doesn't have that feature. Early reports sound pretty positive. So let's pop back over here. I'll show you a different boot. This would be a Nordica Speed Machine. This is a woman's boot. You'll notice it has a BOA reel on the side. So this is a new story for this year, but going forward, we're going to see BOA reels show up in other boots. So what you find is that this has been on mainly medium width boots, but now we're going to see it on more narrows and more wide boots as this expands into the other boots in the business. If you haven't used a BOA reel on an alpine boot, it's pretty straightforward. You pull the BOA out to release it. It always rolls forward like a wheel rolling forward to take the slack out. The nice thing about a BOA on an alpine boot is you can release the tension rolling it the opposite direction. You don't simply have to release it altogether. So we've got front side, we've got an all-mountain category, all-mountain traditional, which this Nordica Speed Machine would fall into. In some of those big categories, we test narrows, mediums, and wides. The Speed Machine happens to be a medium width boot. Then we've got all-mountain access, and there's mainly mediums and wides mixed in there, though the Rossi Vision's available as a narrow as well. And then after we have the access category, you move into the free ride category, so hike mode with tech fittings. And then moving a little further off-piste and out into the backcountry, our true backcountry category has the most range of motion, the lightest weight, tech fittings on both. So we're looking forward to a great test. We've got another 6 days of testing. The weather looks fantastic. There's a ton of snowpack right now at Mt Bachelor. It's a great testing facility. Be looking for our reviews. They should show up at the end of August, early September, and you'll find them ski and outside magazines as well as bootfitters.com.